My name is F. Byron Nahser. Brown is short for Byron. And I am Provost Emeritus of Presidio Graduate School.
And how did you first come to Presidio Graduate School, and when was that?
I got a phone call from Doug Paxton, who at that time was program director, and they were looking for someone to teach marketing in this newly launched MBA program. That was in 2003, like the winter of 2003.
The beginning of time, really, for Presidio.
Beginning of time for Presidio Graduate, for the Presidio MBA.
Mm-hmm.
And they were looking for someone to teach marketing. And I had taught a marketing class at Stanford with Michael Ray. And they had approached Michael Ray if he would teach it. And he said, no, but I have a crazy friend in Chicago. He might do it. And so I get this call and I said, no. He said, well, would you talk with us? All right, so it worked out that I was on my way to the airport and stopped off at Lone Mountain at USF, which is where the classes were being taught there. And I met with him, and I was interested enough that on my next trip, I said, no, I live in Chicago. I'm not going to teach a marketing class. He said, well, would you come back and would you meet with Dick Gray, the founder? And I said, all right. So we met for an hour's conversation at Lone Mountain. I met some of the students. I was in a classroom and saw what was going on at Lone Mountain. Dick Gray and I then talked for 4.5 hours. And we determined that our lives had been serially moving. He was about 15 years ahead of me. He was in advertising. I was in advertising. He got a master's in divinity. I got a master's in religious studies. He got a PhD in his 40s. I got my PhD at 55. So we talked, and then there was this moment where he said, Ron, you are the 82nd person I have interviewed, and I would like you to lead the school.
Wow.
And I went, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, what? And he said, yes. He said, you have I said, I'm not an academic. I have an MBA and I got a PhD. And so that started the conversation that finally, and I talked to deans of business schools. This is a technical point, but you may want to put it in at some point. I talked to a number of deans of business schools because I had done work for Beta Gamma Sigma. And Beta Gamma Sigma is the honor society for business schools. It's like Phi Beta Kappa.
Oh, okay.
People know Phi Beta Kappa, right? Mm-hmm. Well, Phi Beta Kappa is for distinguished students of liberal arts and science schools. Beta Gamma Sigma is for distinguished students of business schools. And so most people have it. Anyway, it's a very powerful group because they're associated with AACSB, which is the accreditation group for business schools. Mm-hmm. So I was inside there and saw a lot of the business schools and how they were working and how they were attempting to do this. I saw the problems that business schools were having trying to bring this kind of thinking into a business school. In talking with several deans, they finally asked me one question. Is the faculty tenured? And I didn't know. Well, I called and found out that they're not tenured. Every dean told me, take the job. Because that means you can move people around, because the entrenchment of business schools, we'll get to this later, the entrenchment of business schools is that they have tenured faculty in science. And they look and they consider their disciplines pretty narrow. Mm-hmm. Here, because we don't have tenure, we're able to bring in adjuncts, we're able to bring in people who have practical experience, and people who can then help recraft their curriculum. And we can recraft the curriculum in an afternoon.
That's wonderful. Sounds like you're still in constant flux.
Yes. Yes.
So why did you come back to Presidio then? Because that was, how long were you in Presidio? I don't know if you said that.
I was Presidio for 4 years.
Okay. I
came in and I was the founding. One thing that you should get in there somewhere is that Dick Gray and Steve Swig are co-founders. Mm-hmm. I am the founding provost.
Okay.
And so the three of us ran the school. for those first 4 years.
We're not even saying this in our classes or to anyone. That's a big deal. That's not, I mean, being the provost when we went to 200 students, that's the story that I've heard, but being a founding provost is not.
Right. The founding provost. Because what they had, they had 22 unhappy students. And it was not a blank sheet of paper. They did have curriculum, but they got faculty yet, and so that's why in the book, this was, we called it the placemat. And this thing, that evolved, and that was a constant piece of work. And we moved things around. That was the advantage of not having tenure, is we could move things around, we could make the courses shorter, longer, and faculty were amenable to doing that. Because in a tenured situation, faculty, you can't tell faculty what to do.
It's very similar to what it is now. There's some
Yeah,
differences.
so we put that together, and it evolved over time. We then were able to, the open houses started out with maybe 10 or 15 people at an open house. When we were into about our second or third year, we'd have 150 people at an open house. In one of those beautiful rooms with the sun setting behind the Golden Gate Bridge, food served by from Greens. They lined up to join me, and we talked. We talked about the curriculum. We had faculty talk about it, and then I always concluded with philosophy and poetry. And I gave him a quote, which I won't go into. I gave him a quote from the Harvard Business School address by one of the great philosophers. And I just said, poets should have philosophy. And so we put up on the screen, Mary Oliver, tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? And there will be this pause, and the students' eyes would get bigger and bigger, like look at the wall. And they would sign up. Because that still is the message. Is we want to be a place where people can reflect on what they are to do with their own wild and precious life. So my years then were 2004 to 2008. The goal for the school was to reach profitability and that was at about 240 students. And we reached it. Then they wanted to go in a different direction. We had the story of Presidio. The board turned over. There was a new board chair. They wanted to go for accreditation. Do this online. And I said, if you want to do that, I don't do that. I do what's in here. And but I felt that this brings us back to the Newsweek article. It was never about green and just sustainability. It was about education. And that's a 5,000-year issue. It just so happens that the context today is sustainability, fairness, and equality. But so they had problems. That's why I love my association with Oxford, because they like to say, we've been thinking about education, about equality, how to make the deal about it. And then the story they tell is the last 200 years, what's happened with education is that the business education model has become separated from the liberal arts and science model. And so we've lost that. So now we have business schools and we have liberal arts and science. And to bring those two together is almost impossible within universities. They're in different colleges, they have different faculty, different departments. At Presidio, we bring together liberal arts and science education in the context of sustainability. But one thing, another point is that the line we use so often is that it's not what we know, it's how we learn it. And because we saw this in Presidio when we started out in 2004, as an example, cap and trade was a new idea. Well, we've got to get that into the curriculum, getting cap and trade. Well, a year and a half later, high schools had cap and trade programs. So the knowledge, it wasn't necessarily the new knowledge. It was how to bring the knowledge together. It's how to implement it. It's how to bring people together to develop strategies to make these changes. That's why we put a lot of emphasis on communication, on networking, on the so-called softer side of being able to manage an organization sustainably.
So then, coming back to Presidio, it's 2017. So you left. So you left in 2009.
2008.
2008. Okay. So that's 8 years ago.
Yeah, almost done.
Yeah. What is your reasoning then for coming back? I know that there was a donation from Student Sway or a gift from Student Sway to help support you coming back. But was there? How did it happen? Did someone call you, or how did the?
Yes, we had been in conversation, and I had gained a great deal since this was my first academic position to be Provost Emeritus. But we got to be really well known, and we'll get back to the Newsweek article. The Newsweek article was the first national exposure to the program. And to be in Newsweek magazine, and Newsweek and Time, the publications, that was a major milestone. And to be compared, I must read this. My favorite line.
And we're here to talk about this article specifically.
Okay. But it's the atmosphere of Presidio that makes it so different from time. I love that. The reason I came back is because I had kept in touch with the school. I have since, based on my experience with Presidio, I have had a lot of opportunities to work with a lot of different business schools all over the world. And one of my calling cards has been Provost Emeritus of Presidio. And an example, I am now a strategic advisor to the UN on their principles for responsible management education secretariat. That gives me a window into 600 business schools all over the world in this field, working on the UN Sustainable Development Goals, essentially. What I saw is that Presidio still is unique because we're able to bring together resources and weave them together as in a functional unit. And so when I saw and this was known, Presidio ran into a rough moment, and enrollment started to go down. And so the board and the Rouge asked me if I would consider coming back and look at help to reframe, re-energize, reinterpret the basic proposition that we had at the start. Because I told them all when I left, I said, if you base the school on sustainability, you're going to be run over. It's going to be on every street corner. It's going to be all over the place. You've got to, which it is. You've got to keep the message that this is a place to learn. And it is a liberal arts and science education to educate citizens to be able to make changes in the world. And the language that is used, these will be sound bites, whatever you pick up. The language that is now used is that it can't be making business less bad. It has to completely rechange the way we go about doing business. And the words in the field now are integrative versus transformative. The language used now is that most business schools say, we've got to get corporations to do better in their supply chain. We've got to have them be better on resource allocation. Less, better. The transformative says we have to rethink the entire way we put together our societies and put together goods and services. Specifically, you look at things like public-private partnerships. And you say we have to rethink the way we as a society are coming together for the common good. And so that's the larger frame. And within that, you can do all kinds of other things. Yes, you've got to make businesses extended and more sustainable. But you also have to have people rethinking the entire way of food chains, of how we grow our food, of how transportation, of rethinking driverless cars and urban planning. All these things come together. All the systems have to be rethought and disrupted. And so what we've done through this is that we do want people who want to change the world. And that does not mean helping Walmart put more green, solar panels on their retail stores. That's fine, but there has to be a much bigger transformative change. Does that help?
Yeah, definitely. Can you please, you reflected a little bit on the Newsweek article, but when it was happening, did they come and interview? They came and interviewed you, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
How was that moment for you? Like, how did that?
It was so funny because the person who was working on PR at the time, she had been talking to this reporter, and it was Miyoko Otaki. And Miyoko had been, the main areas she looked at were Vermont, the East Coast, West Coast, essentially. And we ended up with a handful of schools. And so she visited them all, and then she picked Presidio.
She visited all of them and was interested in their green MBA.
Right,
I mean, that's really what they were calling them.
That's right. That's right. And I told her, and I think one of the reasons why we stood out is I said, it's not a green MBA. It's bigger than that. And it still is an MBA. And so what they were interested in particularly was the idea of a smaller school going against Harvard, Stanford, and Wharton, which I mentioned there. And I love that. So, to the moment. So Miyoko's there, and I have lunch with her. She sits in capstone.
Wow, that's a good place for her to sit on.
So, it was team taught by me and the Harvard MBA. And the Harvard MBA, I'll think of his name, the Harvard MBA stands up and he gives a Harvard MBA on how the numbers have to add up and how it has to make a profit and how it does this. And Miyoko leaned over to me and she said, excuse me, how is this different from Harvard? And I said, this way. So then, Dr. Bridget, and I don't even remember saying that, but apparently I did.
This was a presentation that was given at capstone?
Yeah.
Okay.
She just sat through the class and in the afternoon, and he did his numbers stuff, and then I stood up and talked about their idea. And I thought I was pretty good on the idea and all the rest. I had no idea. And I said, are you feeling the love in the marketplace? I said, oh, geez, did I really say that? I thought my friends are going to laugh me off the street when they read that. But apparently I said all that. I do mean it, but it has to be put in a larger context that this is you're there to deliver goods and services that provide the beauty.
I like your question of why, though.
Yes.
Why am I in this?
Why am I? That's the thing. Presidio has got to be better at challenging students as to why. To create doubt. Giving again, I'm not sure. All right, then come in here and we'll help you think about it. And to then be able to rethink and get down to some of the core values and rethink exactly why you are going about doing what you're doing. So that was the background for the article. I want, as you know, I don't want this to be the school not to be thought of as a green MBA, but to be compared to Harvard, I think that any day would be.
And no one uses the word green MBA at Presidio. That's for sure.
Good.
So you visited many classes last semester or last residency. Were there any that stood out to you or that you felt?
I should get my list. Can you put on pause for a moment and get my list? I do not want to make that's your question, Bill.
Sure. So you visited many classes last residency, which was the first residency. I think it's a pretty fun residency to come to. Did any of the classes or moments really stand out for you?
I had more fun, and one of the reasons why I came back, I knew enough about what had been going on at the school that I was almost positive that all the pieces that we had put in place long ago, 9 years ago, were still in place. They needed to be rethought, reinterpreted, reinvigorated, and recombined, so that the narratives of the story can be told again. And so I sat through some of them not very long, 19 classes.
Did you go into every single class?
Every single class.
Oh, good.
Every single class. And it was thrilling. Some people, one person said, why are you going back to Presidio? I said, going back to me. And so I took notes. I always have, it'll be self-revelatory here. I usually spend more time in economics because I got to do in economics. So I always like to go there and take notes. But no, what I was able to see is that the curriculum has advanced. And particularly, I was particularly thrilled with the idea of the MBA. But the idea is that that has to be woven together with the MBA.
So you sat in on all of the MPA classes, and when most of them are telling us all.
Yeah, right. She's right. Yeah. And she agrees, and I do too, that the MBAs need that as much as the MBAs do, because again, that's back to systems and integration. So
I think a lot more students would be duals if they had the money, time, everything. I started out with school.
It's going to be a but they're going to come together.
Yeah,
that took me 5 minutes. But that's it. No, but back to the, I was very pleased to see that, again, no surprise, the CEO students are terrific. And I saw that same fire in their eyes that we saw. And so while times have changed and schools have caught up in all kinds of different ways, I don't think that it's almost impossible for, especially a big university, to be able to integrate curricula the way Presidio has. It's too big. There's too many departments. There's too many vested interests to try to do it. One of the open houses, my favorite question that I was asked was, Dr. Nahser, I've been studying this field, and just how does Presidio differ from Yale, Cornell, and Michigan? And I said, well, I like our competitive set. And I said, Presidio will never have the resources of Yale, Cornell, but we put them together around you. We are able to build a curriculum around challenging you and the person you want to be in the room. What you can do with your life, you change. I said, that is, we are not subject focused, we are career focused, we are focused on the student, developing them as citizens and then business people and managers. But to be contributors to the common good as well as the economic.
That leads into my next question, Robin. What, and I think you've already said this a couple times, but if there's anything that really is highlighted for you, what has changed since you've left, and what has not changed at all?
What has changed, which again, you didn't have to be a wizard to figure out, is that sustainability is now part of the vocabulary. And every school of any size has got some sort of department or program or something. They've all got it. Some are more integrated than others.
In 2007, it was only 63% actually had green courses of universities.
Right. So what you find almost invariably is that they tend to be usually associated with engineering or science. Is the usual focus. It is difficult. I have seen very few examples in this country. Now, there are some in Europe, and I think one of the most larger subjects. I have a feeling that the people who are going to do the best job educating for the future might be in the East, in Asia and Japan, because they have a more holistic systems view of education, and they also have this idea of being values driven. Where this school continues, I believe, to be unique and has to continue to evolve that and practice it, is to have the idea of this sustainability through every course. We know about that. And helping the student develop their ideas over the 4 semesters or longer, where they are always developing their ideas, coming to their career path. And the bringing together of the so-called soft and hard sciences is very difficult, almost impossible for large schools to do. In Presidio, we read them together.
And so, what has not changed?
What has not changed is the need to educate citizens to do good in the world. That has been the goal since the university started in the 11th century. I mean, this is not new, but it's so hard to do. And the way it's been described by Suzanne Farber, I should read that quote. Suzanne Farber, the president and chairman, defined it. The actual question is what's changed, what hasn't changed.
Well, now we're at the what hasn't changed.
Which hasn't changed. Well, what hasn't changed is that the need for an integrated education has not changed. And it's been particularly difficult in the last 200 years. And in talking with Suzanne Farber, and I'll quote her, she said she had an aha moment to think about the history of higher education and industrial society growing in parallel paths, but with little respect for one another's perspective. And I think that that's what's been interesting about this, is that we've been so focused on the business model, the corporate models, and we just have to make the corporate model better, help corporations be more sustainable. Whereas education should say, wait a minute, how do I make society better? Of which business is a part. But there's lots of other pieces, and the growth of what's the so-called nonprofit or cultural or cultural parts of society, neighborhoods, community groups, the rise of the nonprofits. That's huge. And then to see how government, this rise of all the nonprofits, and in business need to blur and work together. That's hard to do, and that's what the education should be about, that context of how to make society better. And that's the purpose, then, to use all the business insights and also use the insights of the arts and poetry, of all the different things that go into the education of basically citizen students saying, I think I'll do that rather than that. I'm going to go do that. And that's changing the world.
So then, final question. What is your vision for the future?
The vision for the future is having millions of Presidios saying, I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. I think I'm going to do that, because that will make a better world for society. It will contribute to the health of the environment, of the flourishing of individuals. And I will always be learning. I will always be hungry. I will always be learning. And how best to serve others, so they too be free. And that is other people, it's our nation, it's the environment, it's the soil, the entire system.
Last sentence.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you start out from a business perspective, the most important activity is developing a strategy which guides investments. And if you step back and look at society, the most important investment a society can ever make is in the education of its youth. That's always been true. That's been true in every culture all over the world. Where do you invest? The reason why I think the investment in an MBA in sustainable management is the best investment around is because we have to decide how to educate people to make investments for organizations. That means developing a strategy, making a business case. And that is what has been so narrowly defined by business schools today. They consider it within a corporate framework. Fine. The investments need to be made within a much larger perspective of society. It's usually talked about as government, business, and civil society or culture. The business model is so impactful, but the language of business, to quote David White, the language of business and its practices are too narrow for its task. At Presidio, we help broaden the narrative. We help challenge you to come up with a narrative to help others make investments for the good of society. I'll give you 3 ways to talk about it. Way number 1, a dream and thinking systems. If there is one word outside of investments that is more important, it's that the investments must be made within the context of systems. Where does learning begin? It begins with a doubt. Tough word, but it isn't what you know that's important, it's how you learn. And learning starts with a doubt, and it leads to probably the most important word for good and flourishing, integrity. And the last thing is we want you to put it to work by being a pragmatic idealist. You come to Presidio to find out you have your purpose, your calling, all kinds of different ways to talk about it, what your passion is, and then put it to work to make investments in that betterment of society for yourself.